Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Oh,
they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to round number 7 of the Radical World Series Americas, live from Suzuka in Japan. I welcome you together with Dean Biggles in the commentary booth. Once again, want to know where this circuit is located? It is in Prefectura in Suzuka in Japan, of course Suzuka we know, but Prefectura, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Probably not, don't know my Chinese words too well, but that is where this circuit is located. Opened in September 1962 with a total of 18 corners, 10 to the right, 7 to the left, length of 3.6 miles, 5.8 kilometers. It's a rolling track, and with the quickest lap time of 1:30.983 set by Lewis Hamilton back in 2019 during qualifying for the Formula 1 Grand Prix in his Mercedes W10. What a car that was. Today, during qualifying, I don't think we will get too close to it. Talking about qualifying, Biggles, it is already for us time to, well, about get into qualifying.
Yeah, it's about time to get underway, of course. Welcome, everybody, to the chat. And if you're watching, of course, it's the SR8 Americas. And Dan, I'll have to pick your brain on that one because we have an SR8 European one. Did you cast that earlier and give us the information of what's... This is what I love about it because we almost get a recap or basically a heads up, isn't it? A preview to the future of how the Americas are going to happen according to what did happen on the European one.
The European one was a battle from start to finish, but they did have some difficulties with overtaking, as is very, well, common on this track, really. It is a great track for close racing, but for overtaking, not so much. It has very tight corners, not the widest track on the calendar too. So, some difficulties with overtaking, but it was close throughout the whole 30 minutes of the race. So, with that, I think we're up for a spectacle, and let's hope that these boys can find something magical in terms of how they overtake people.
Now, close sounds good to me. Close just means, you know, yeah, you're so right up there. It's a matter of finding an opportunity for somebody to either make a mistake or you seize the opportunity when you can seize the opportunity. Well, for one thing, best way to seize an opportunity there, Dan, is to get that car on pole position.
So, take a look at how the championship is lining up, especially in the Drivers' Championship. Stephen Place is ahead of Diego Zuccarelli in P2. And Lucas Vieira in P3 out of Scotty Gallagher in P4. Scotty, of course, always starting from the back, not qualifying. Still being a P4 in the championship, I think, doing pretty well there. Manuel Solozano in P5, ahead of Joel Jacqueline in P6. Arthur Condalis in 7, ahead of Jacob Schneider in 8. Juan Moncada in P9, ahead of Charles Krosic. Rounding off that all-important top 10 where you want to be at the end of the championship, because you do want to go to the finals. Eric Harman in P11 ahead of Richard Horn in P12. P13 for Nathan Brumby ahead of Matthias Moraes in P14. Jason Duckworth in P15 ahead of Johnny Hamby in P16. Patrick Hingston in P17. Kansas Country in P18, excuse me. And then last to round off the championship, this 19 driver strong championship, Rich Price in P19 on 28 points, but all rather close at the top of Team Championship 2, Biggles, because it's not only the Driver Championship, as you see Jigo Zuccarelli in the background go wide, that is his qualifying lap gone. Bardo Vito Motorsports is ahead of Team Redline, Can AM Racing, Event Matrix in P3, Elite West Racing in P4, and Race Pace in P5. Now, realistically, Biggles, at the top of the Team Championship, it's only Bardo Vito and Team Redline fighting for that overall victory.
Yeah, you're right. And those two team for the championships, but also to the Drivers' Championship, that is close, mate. The top 5, top 6 are separated by a couple of race wins, a couple of fastest laps, and job done, really, at the end of the day. So, championships heading up, as well as Lucas Vieira, who's got all those lovely purples underneath his name, currently the 10 machine. So, the Brazilian looking like he's loving everything is bigger and better in Japan. Well, the average train delay here, I believe, my friend, is about 16 seconds or something like that. Yeah. So you can imagine. That's about a pit stop, isn't it? Even less than a pit stop.
Yes, for sure. Especially in these cars, no Formula 1. We've seen that this weekend too.
Spoiler alert. Lucky I just watched the highlights on that one. I've been busy, mate. We've been casting during the Formula 1. Lucas across the line. Bingo! 133.417. That's going to be a tough time to beat.
Well, don't know about that one. This is his first lap, and as we know, Biggles, this car gets into his own the further on you get into this qualifying session. And this is only the first lap, so the next 2-3 laps really are going to decide where you're going to be. Now, with the time that we have, I don't know if the drivers are particularly going to have time for 3 more to complete all of their 4 laps. We're running about 153s at the moment, so the drivers are going to have to wring the neck of the cars, really get time to do that. But it's going to be close for Jigo Zuccarelli too, who we are looking with at the moment. Lucas Vieira, there he is.
Gone
Coming
faster.
across the line on that
Well, just remember,
153,
Dan, if you are going to go back to the
417.
Formula One, of course, the qualifying session, yeah, anything can happen, right? Red flag, bang, you can't get another banker lap in. Fortunately, it's not going to happen in iRacing. Lucas just bank another one. And guess who we missed out there in the chat? You are definitely a little late on this one, CJ. Did you have any problems with traffic getting in here? But we're loving to have you back here. CJ, out there.
Traffic jam.
The man behind, Lucas, a little bit of an error too on third sector, but should be an interesting race. G'day, CJ. Just feels like we don't have a motor race, do we, here for the SR8 Americas without CJ?
Well, yes and no, because in the end, even if CJ is not here, the drivers will be racing out on track. However, it will feel different here up in the booth, for sure. CJ always a big part of the stream, and we appreciate him for being here, of course, every time. But yeah, like you said, the drivers will still be racing out on track. However, it will feel completely different compared to how it would normally feel, because of anyone really. Well, I would have you to talk to. I would have you to talk to, but wouldn't really have anyone else in chat to talk to. So the dynamic would be a lot different. So cross the line for Schneider for the first time, of course, second time round this time. But he had a little off track, of course, coming out. I think of Dunlop it is. Yes, it was Dunlop. Got a little bit of an exit error. Went too wide. In the end, had to bail out of that one. First lap time on the board for JP Schneider, a 1:04.15. That is about a second slower than Lucas Vieira at the front.
We still got quicker. But one Moncana could be the one that could be doing the position one, perhaps. Say one. Sorry, we're going back to that interview, of course, that happened with one Montoya.
If you say one twice in a sentence, that's the first thing I think of.
You can say one many times in a sentence, my friend, but I want to do it to one Moncada. And yeah, CJ out there, how do you like your sushi in Japan? Which is your favorite Japanese track too, as well? I mean, Suzuka, Fuji. There's many great tracks around here. Japanese love their motor racing, of course. Absolutely fanatical. One of the best fans in the world, I'd have to say.
I would say for me personally, it would be Fuji. And that's purely because, well, it's the first track in Japan that I came in contact with due to endurance racing. I've always loved endurance racing. Before that, of course, I knew that Suzuka existed. I saw Suzuka. But with endurance racing on, I think, Project Cars 2 back in the day, that was the first Japanese track that I drove at in the sim. So that's why that one is so close to heart. However, Lucas Vieira across the line once again. He's going to improve again. However, behind him, Juan Moncada already put himself up into. Is he going to be able to take that quickest lap time? He's not.
1/10, 2/10. I was going to say, close. Yeah, and Dan, well, I was going to say, it's a good track that hopefully you don't crash it into the pit lane, or did you crash the pit lane going on that track? But aside from that too, Dan, the one thing I do like about Fuji is the fact that you have the absolute mountain, don't you? Like the iconic mountain in the background, the Fuji mountain.
And you have 180R, I think. Yeah, 180R, something like that.
Oh, this is 180R here, I think, on this track, my friend.
130R. We have 130R and we have 200R.
Yes. This was actually built as a Honda test motorcycle track, I believe. So, I mean, that's the reason why it's always sweeping corners. And remember, too, we don't have... How many figure 8 tracks do we even really go to here at JP Broadcasting? Across the whole network of tracks that we go to. That's a good question. I don't think we go to many ever figure 8s.
You wouldn't be able to count them. There are so many that we don't know anymore. Of course, we've gone to Suzuka, gone to Suzuka Short with MX-5s.
Oh, Tsukuba? Tsukuba? As CJ says that there. Another track. I didn't even know that track, actually.
Yeah,
you know that one, Dan?
I did know that track. But, like, it didn't pop up once you said Japanese tracks. And I think we'll leave it there for me personally, because if that doesn't happen, then I don't feel you've got a really great connection with it. Manuel Solorzano in P5.
Oh, either that or Dan's had bad memories of crashing the pit road again.
Yeah. Maybe that
I'm
too.
sorry, Dan. Never leave the one down.
Maybe that too, Biggles. Maybe a combination of the two.
Anyway, that's qualifying done. Lucas looks like he's on a dominating form around here. Spoiler alert for Formula One, but we all know who is a double-time world champion. Anyway, Dan the man. Let's go through those qualifying results.
Well, Lucas Vieira will start on the pole position. Here you can see him in the background from Okada P2 and Stephen Place in P3 and Zuccarelli rounding off the second row. Manuel Solozano and Schneider on row number 3. Johnny Hamby and Matthias Moraes on row number 4. That's Crossage and Nathan Brumby rounding off the top 10 on row number 5. Joel Jacklin in P11. And as always, starting further towards the back, not lost today, got Galligan. Then we've got Pat LaBrosse and Jeff Stone finishing 13th and 14th, rounding off 14 cars on grid. I think the first time this season we've actually got just as many drivers as in the Europe one. Here we go, the Parfitt lights will come on. It's lights out and away we go for round number 7 at Suzuka GP. It is Vieira with a blinding start. John Moncada behind that, also with a great start out of his teammates leading place. Then Johnny Hamby, of course, in P4, already up 3 positions. A rocket start from him.
Rocking their way around. Beautiful racing here in Japan, as you like to see it, because basically a ton of S's, left and right, right, left. Not many straightaways, not many at all, really, at the end of the day. Yeah, somewhere along the line, your steering is not going to be pointing in a straight direction. It's going to be pointing left and right, and so far, so good. Great racing. Lucas still leading from Steven, and 1 in P3, dropping 1 place.
Schneider stayed in P6. Scotty Galligan. This is not new to us, Biggles. Let's put it like that. Look. Scotty Galligan up similar positions. If there's one man who, well, technically, Biggles, let's be honest, he started from the back of the field. Stone and LaBrosse did not start. They are out of his race already, so he will be starting from P12. That was the lowest down he could start. Did that and is already up into P7, up 5%.
What are you doubting, Aussie, my friend? Scotty's in town, of course, the 666 machine. Doing what he does best. Gaining positions. He's almost like a Max Verstappen, isn't he?
Has he gotten a flying start again? Here we go.
I bet you put him on this.
Pulls
Look at
over
this. Goes
to the right-hand side and look at that.
Bingo! Has he got that double launch control that they had in F1 back in the day, and they accused everybody of cheating with the launch control?
Further back, we saw that.
What's that? 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That was, I think, Matthias Moraes with Manuel Solorzano, who made contact down in the turn 1. No harm, no foul. Both drivers able to continue. No, I think he said it earlier. I think that was Charles Crossage who went off the track there after that start. That's what I wanted to look at too. Hard into the wall. And in the end, that has put him back to 12 and probably out with a chance at any great result here this evening, because that car didn't look too good. What I wanted to say, Biggles, is, well, Scotty Galligan, he said it earlier on in the season. I think the guys ahead of him don't have a clutch to start this car with. And that always makes it look like he has a flying start. But if you look 2 rows further up the grid, he actually has a pretty... His start is still pretty decent, or better than... Well, if you look at 2 rows ahead, 3 rows, even at the pole row. But it is not as quick compared to them as it is to the 2 rows ahead of him.
He's got the kangaroo start, mate. He's like a room. Bang, jump. He can jump a couple of cars just like that.
There we go. Now we know it. Now we know. Biggles has said it. Aussies, they have a kangaroo start in every car. Jump start. What is jump start? Kangaroo start. I'm all for it.
There you go. We're going to coin that one now. I didn't even think I didn't thought about that for a second. Yeah, you know what I mean? Some Mark Webber and Daniel Ricciardo and all that, they weren't really the best race starters. Alan Jones back in the day as well. But yeah, forget it. Oh, Scotty's the new man in town there. for the jump of all jump starts, of course, without actually getting a penalised for it, just jumping everybody else napping on that one. But nobody's napping Lucas Vieira, who was strong during the qualifying performance, just dominated lap by lap by lap. And at the moment, it's up to Steven whether or not he wants to take a place from Lucas Vieira. And that's your battle for the lead.
Plays leader in the championship. In Europe once, of course, 1 week ago at Daytona, he was nowhere to be seen, and then all of a sudden, Biggles, he popped up in the Americas and had incredible pace. So very much, I think, using the Europes at this point in time to practice for the Americas, because with leading this championship, he could well be a regular season champion.
Well, looking strong, of course, but the biggest problem right now, well, not really a problem for them, but the problem, of course, for Juan Moncana is this kerfuffling of cars that's happening behind him there. So Diego Zicotti and Diego Schneider, so all the D's are in here, as well as the Dan and the Dean in the commentary box. And Scotty's going to start catching them very soon. It's about 1 second to change down the road there. See how it's going to pan out, but that is where the highlighted battle is currently for the P4 position. We are 25 minutes left on this race. Now, Dan, can you explain about whether the 10-minute rule is going to apply to this one? Really shorten this race a little bit.
Say again, sorry?
Even shorten this race a little bit from the 60-minute down to the 30.
No, this is our regular 30-minute sprint race.
30. Okay.
So,
I'm so confused, mate. So
like
this
we
is like a
always
day.
do.
Sunday's a motor racing day with the F1 and everything that's going on. I can get a little
Sure.
confused on that one, so I do apologise. That's CJ will be on top of that one. So,
Easy
sorry,
to do.
CJ.
No, we alternate between weeks. So 1 week we run the endurance format, which for the Americas is 1 hour long, since we don't have a big turnout like we do in Europe, one with about 28 drivers, 30 drivers. We usually have about 15 max. So they've shortened this one to an hour, which was 1.5 hours before. And then the week after, we have the sprint format, which is 30 minutes long, no pit stop included, just 30 minutes of flat out pushing, trying to get as many positions as we can. And then the week after, we go back to the endurance format again, and then the week after that, we're back to the sprint format. So this week was a sprint week, and Lucas Vieira absolutely loving this sprint at the moment. Let me tell you, he's loving this sprint too. Stephen Place is absolutely giving it some.
He just got the fastest lap too. He showed about 2/10 off Lucas Vieira. And speaking of pit stops, of course, we did have a recent pit stop from one of the drivers there, and that's Mateus Moraes. So I'm not sure if he had a little bit of an incident there somewhere along, a tangle with the wall, but yeah, you don't need to take a pit stop, my friend. You don't need to take a pit stop in a 30-minute shootout.
This is just flat out to the end. Scotty Gallagher in P7 can't really make any headways after this. Gonna have to try and catch up to Schneider, Zuccarelli, Hamby and Moncada ahead of him. If he can catch up to that battle, he's immediately caught up to the battle for the podium too. Which, I mean, Scotty Gallagher, being in the championship position that he is in at the moment, wouldn't be bad. Now, I'm going to look forward to seeing him race in the finals if he does finish in the top 10, because I want to see what he can do if he starts from a normal position and qualifies, because he's always super quick from the back. So I have a feeling that if he starts from the front, he's very much a contender for this race victory.
Yeah, I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night there, perhaps for Scotty, but he has to pick up his pace a little bit because he's lapping about just half a second slower than the race leaders. And Stephen Place put another banker of a lap down there. He's trying to crawl that lap in. He's trying to crawl in Lucas, but the main screen, what you're seeing, the main action on the screen, of course, that battle has been brewing for P3 for some time. And look how close Zuccarelli is. You said it's very difficult to overtake right here, Dan. Where would you try and be bold and brave to do it?
Not through any of these S's, Biggles. Not through the anti-bank curve, not through Dunlop, corner that they've just gone through, not into any of the Degners that they're going through right now. Really, not anywhere in Section 1. Maybe down into the hairpin that is now coming up the corner after this one. However, is a tricky one because you're just turning to the right here, which ruins your setup for it. And no one can dive down the
no, he's going to
inside
get him. We're going to snap him, oversteer that slump of a break and bang, just like that. Hamby, unfortunately, Johnny has made a little mistake and he's getting snatched up at the moment. Even Scotty's going to pounce on this one now.
Now, where is Scotty going to pounce? This is now coming in to Spoon. A good exit needed here.
Yeah. It's a tight corner, remember, into it of a long runaway. Not too many long runaways here in Japan, but certainly take advantage of any of them you have. Look at this, riding on board, Scotty. Now, the Thunder from Down Under is going to be putting the pressure right there from the USA driver there of Hamby, who made that little tiny mistake there from Johnny. He's setting up the inside, Dan. He's going to leave a little bit of a space as he goes through the Casio. Is that job done?
Yes, it is. Gallagher up into P6. Zuccarelli has dropped back a bit from Moncada, but Schneider very much still all over the back of the Canadian. Schneider himself, of course, racing in Argentinian flag liveried.
He can't miss his nationality.
SR8.
He's very patriotic.
Yeah.
Loves it. And it's also a fantastic livery for the car, my friend.
Yeah.
Inspired, of course, by the World Cup champions. This year, was it this year? Last year? I don't know. This time flies, isn't it?
Oh, it does. Especially when you're having fun. And always when racing is on. Even if it's sim racing, we are having fun here. Up here in the booth. So, yeah, time flies for us once we are doing this. Gallagher is going to try and catch up to Schneider. But it is slowing down a bit. Solorzano is on the back of Hamby. You can see the battle is kind of brewing from P4 all the way down to P8.
Oh,
we have Stephen Place trying to get close to Lucas Vieira. A little bit of a lock-up from Hamby ahead once again. That is not Hamby's favourite corner so far.
No, I think everybody's realised that. I think he knows that too. And there's little mistakes that have been made. And more importantly, he's going to keep it on the track now and see if they can find their way around. Great to see. Great battle, of course. So P4, P5 position has always been heated up. Let's see a little replay here.
This might be our answer why Matthias Moraes went into the pit lane.
It must have been damage because we'd not be boxing in a sprint race like this unless you got some sort of, I don't know, CJ, what happened to him down in the pit lane, reporter?
He went off track about 12 times within the span of 10 seconds.
I think it's his breaking point here, or he's gone too deep into the sand. No.
Gonna keep it? Yeah,
he's had to lift there because he was at speed. It's very interesting. We'll find out about that one. Snyder, of course, is very tucked up on the back there of Diego. So the Diego battles of the Diegos, 4th and 5th there. Try to get that. THs. Could be hard. I mean, Dutch, you guys do it though. I don't know if you do the task better than we do in English.
I am Swedish now, so I couldn't tell you.
You can't speak Swedish yet. Do you know how many words do you know in Swedish so far, mate?
I would say about 20, 25, but...
well, that's not bad, considering we only use on average. On average, we use about 50 words, I think, in a language. So you've learned half of it.
Well, the thing is, I think that more than half of those 25 words are words that we can't repeat on stream. There we go.
Oh, we can, Dan. We can say it like this. Dan, you go one. And what's the other one? And the...
There we go. But well, in that case, I know a lot of Swedish words then.
How is it, Dan, actually, when I've traveled around the world, lived around the world, that the first language we actually pick up in most languages around the world is the words that we can't say on screen?
Yes.
Or anywhere, really. We shouldn't be saying.
Now, Biggles, I do want to get into a little bit of a story here, since it's slowing down a bit out on track.
Dan story time presented by... Go ahead.
I went to Montauk Park, which is about 1 hour away, 45 minutes from where I am located right now in Sweden, for the spring events. PT4 Scandinavia was there, Formula Nordic, so was the Radical Championship. That was also
Ooh.
there with the Radical SR10s and the Radical.
So you got to see these
SR
babies on track for real?
Not
in person?
these ones, sadly. I didn't see
okay.
an SR8, which I was a bit sad about. I love these cars, and I think they look fabulous, and they sound
Kim
better.
Snyder's got past that. Dan, sorry to cut you off that one. Probably got show back in the
Zuccarelli
replay of that one.
is off.
Yeah.
Oh no, Zuccarelli, what have you done, sir?
That's not off. That car's blowing.
What have you done, sir?
He's cooked it. The gearbox of the engine, something's puffing out there, and it can huff and puff and half of your way around the track, my friend. But I don't think you're gonna be able to get too far. Dan, I think he enjoyed your story so much that he huffed and puffed. Let's have a look at the replay on that one.
I don't think there is any replay, sadly, of it. The first replay we have is when he went off track to park it on the side of the road.
Oh.
There is no replay of him blowing.
Now, you
his
don't
engine.
get to see blowing engines very often, do you? Really? I mean, I know you've cast a lot more than myself there, Dan,
is.
but look at that.
Look, it has already
it's blowing up.
happened
Yeah. That'd be a lot of oil on the track too, or all that sort of whatever's coming out of the back of that car. It's not working in his favor, unfortunately. Look at that. That'd be just very difficult there for Diego Snyder to be going. Is he locking up, or is that an engine blowing up?
Well, couldn't really tell you, sir. Difficult one there. Here it's still okay.
Yeah, CJ, what happened? Our pit lane reporter. How do you blow a radical car? I mean, yes, I could blow a radical car up. Dan can't get one on the pit road. But aside from that, how can you blow one up?
Got it in there again.
Yeah.
By shifting down too quickly. If you shift down too quickly or you have a double down shift, then that can happen. And that is just a little bit of a lack of concentration. Boom, out of this race you are. No, but to continue where I left off, so I didn't see these beauties sadly. I saw the SR10, which is a great car in itself too, but I like the sounds of the SR8 more than the
What do they sound like? You know, V6. I mean, not a V8.
They're
not
very
a V8.
quiet actually in real life. They're very quiet because when you look on the back of the car, they have a muffler on it. They just have a regular exhaust system. They just have regular exhaust pipe with a muffler in the end, and they're not straight piped or anything. It's just a muffler on the end to dampen the sound a bit. Yeah, it was really sad to kind of hear them that quiet. However, the racing, just like in the sim battles, was absolutely amazing. From start to finish, they didn't have the biggest field, but even though that was the case, from start to finish, there was action from front to rear of the field. Absolutely amazing and great to see that it's not only the case in the sim, but in real life too. So that was amazing to see. Now I can recall with Charles Krasic that if you look at a car that has been in the wall, it doesn't bend like that. It very much just breaks off.
So so you're saying, Dan, basically, rather than spending like $3,000 for a ticket to watch an F1 race that'd be boring, go sit courtside and watch this one. Keep an eye on Scotty, mate. He's put a bit of pressure there on our Diego Snyder. As the Aussie man's charging his way up 7 places through here. But yeah, save your money, I guess, and go trackside and watch these, as you said, local cars going around localish tracks without all the Formula One hype.
If you are an enjoyer of great racing, then yes, this would be absolutely amazing. Save your money, don't go to F1.
F1's just crazy expensive now anyway. A
Well, the
lot of
thing
people
is,
disagree with that.
if you're a fan of the innovation that F1 is seeing every day, every week, every month, then it is incredibly interesting to see those amazing pieces of machinery. Because let's be honest here, there is nothing that can match the speed of the current F1 cars that we have, or the F1 cars back in the day.
Yes, there is. Did you see the Goodwill Speed Festival? That fan-forced car will blow them all away in a heartbeat.
Well, you don't have that in a racing series, do you?
It's been banned. That's the reason why.
Exactly.
That thing would be way too quick for a Formula One track. And anyway, Formula One needs to rely on gasoline and not electric power, of course, because, you know, Petronas and all the other major sponsors. And guess where half the races are? Middle East. So, of course, you need to rely on oil. They're trying biofuels in the future, mate, so I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, sponsors. But anyway, back to the Radical Americas and back to Stephen Place. Still hovering about that 1 second away from Lucas Vieira, as well as Scotty's trying to make his way on Diego Snyder. Now, Scotty's got some pace, but, mate, lap times aren't in the low 53s, which is exactly what the leaders are doing. So, don't think Scotty's chances of getting a first place is going to be for grabs at the moment, especially when Stephen Place is putting in fantastic laps, a little bit quicker on Lucas Vieira every single time, but one thing to catch, another thing to overtake.
I think it's the same thing that we saw with Sergio Perez. Spoilers here for everyone, just so turn your volume down now if you don't want to get any spoilers. Perez was quick during this Grand Prix, but he didn't quite have the consistency, and I feel like that's the same with Stephen Place at the moment. He has those 1 or 2 laps where he's really quick, but consistency is a bit of an issue for Place at the moment compared to Vieira. Vieira can be within 1/10, and Stephen Place is within 3/4 of his lap time.
You can't be comparing the, spoiler alert again, Formula One race recently in Miami with a huge tyre difference when Max went completely different strategy, slipped over to the mediums. You know the medium tyres, softer compound, has more grip.
On the hard tyre before, which were 34 laps old.
And he was a sitting target at that point, mate. I mean, he put up a great fight, no doubt, but what are you going to do against a fresher medium tyre runner, especially like somebody like Max behind the car? And he was a sitting target. Perez, if they were on equal tyres in equal laps, that would have been something to look at, but at that point.
I think Verstappen would have still got cost. Because
maybe, but it would have been, I mean, it wasn't like Perez was not trying. It's just Perez was on a completely different tyre strategy, and this is the way it panned out.
Well, it wasn't like Verstappen wasn't matching the lap times of Perez on 14 lap old cards. Verstappen was on a set that was 37 laps old.
Yeah, you true on that one, actually. So that's another thing to look at.
He got himself into that position. But we won't talk about that too much, because if you talk about F1, well, it's a downward spiral from there on in, because the amount of controversy that has happened the last 2 weekends in that Red Bull team, especially with teammates.
Lucas is just
it's a rabbit hole. So let's not go into that. Stephen Place in P2 has just seen Lucas Vieira go to the quickest lap so far, and has just lost about 5/10 to the Brazilian, a 52.82 by Lucas Vieira. Here we go. He's kicked it up a notch, hasn't he?
Yep. He's got the radio call. He's like, okay, let's deploy some of that energy. You're going to have, of course, these machines do not have all the goodies that they do have, of course, back in Formula One that we're talking about, but we're going to go back, obviously, on the Radical series. And yes, so it kind of get the call up, doesn't he? Like, okay, Stephen Place is catching you. Got down, Stephen got down about 7/10 there. And Lucas got the call up, and they started putting more of these banker laps in. But, Dan, you know that when you're pushing to the absolute limit, mate, you're now on the bubble of a mistake. So, yeah. How much does he need to push with that almost 2-second gap, 8 minutes and change to go?
I would say if you get to 2 minutes to go with about a 2 seconds gap, he can let off a bit. But this gap, he still wants to increase it a bit. However, that curb is so dangerous. If you go over it just a little bit too much, it spits you out to the outside, and it kind of grabs you off the track, spins you around and into the path of a very quick Stephen Place behind him. Stephen Place, with the gap that he has, wouldn't really have a lot of time to react to that.
Apparently in the chat there, CJ's called out there that Jacqueline gained a bit of time there in Bromby, which is correct. If you're looking at your timing there, it's 1.2 seconds. But the battle is also brewing for P4 and P5, just behind one. Now, you got to say, Juan Moncada has been holding off a ton of drivers here this evening. Everybody's been challenging for that P3 position. He's been strong and held it after he lost that one place position to Stephen's Place after qualifying P2. But he's been strong. But I tell you what, how much can he hold up against Diego Snyder? Is going to be really putting the pressure down. The Argentina driver is going to be very close there, Dan. Keep an eye on that battle. The P4 battle brewing up. P3, P4. This is going to be very, very spicy. As James say, get your popcorn, sit back and relax. It's going to be a great show.
Stephen Place, what can he do? He was very much closer to Vieira, but I feel like Vieira was managing in that first part. He's now kicked it up a notch Blaze seems to struggle a bit with tyres at the moment. Has dropped down some time in terms of lap time too. Jacob Schneider is on the back of Moncada, and this is for the last podium spot here.
That's what I was talking about, Dan. Yeah. The Argentinian sunshine on the back there. But Juan Moncada has not been yielding anything so far this race. He only yielded at one place at the start, and that's it. And he knows you get a hold off Diego Schneider. And if you don't, my friend, the Aussie, the Thunder from Down Under, Scotty's lurking in the background. So that will be definitely spicing. Jacqueline now has caught Brumby at a rapid pace, as CJ mentioned out there. They're fantastic. But we'll keep our eyes on this battle for now. CJ and everybody else watching, is Diego Schneider. Let's go on board there, Dan. I want to see how it feels to drive a radical car, especially in the dirty air of one up the road.
Diego Schneider, how far are you going to go here, sir? Is he going to try and dive down the inside? Be quick with it. He has about 5.5 minutes left, a little bit less than that, to try and facilitate this pass. Lucas Vieira at the front, once again going quicker. Steve Blaze has absolutely dropped off 54.48 last time round. He's going to have to watch out that Moncada isn't going to catch now. However, he has about 8.8 seconds to the driver behind. Galligan catching up to this battle for the podium too. Here is the Australian.
It's a three-way. Look, go on board with Scotty, because you can see the two cars up the road there. He could probably take a 2-for-1 special, but you've got to be very, very careful at doing it. Scotty's a way to navigate his field. 7 cars are navigated, so if a man can navigate anywhere around the world, he can navigate 2 cars, no problemo here in Japan. Whether a Juan is going to get one and give that position, he's not going to want to get that position to Diego. Diego Schneider's going to try to push like mad, and of course, Scotty's lurking in the background. As a spotter, essentially, really. You have spotters in iRacing, well, I think Scotty's our man on that one. Look at this. Look at the different racing lines to take in as you go under the figure 8.
It's an interesting one.
Oh, snaps of oversteers and moments here, James.
Yeah, I almost called you James too. It's
all right.
It's
We're on the JP network. Why not? We call each other the James. It's yeah. Well, we have a Juan, a Diego, and a Scott on our pitches. Look at Diego. Look at that. Look at the exit speed, but then he scrubs it off as he swings the steering wheel, 3rd gear. How do you feel too if you're like in the middle of this sandwich, mate? As a driver, you gotta be looking forward, looking backwards. You've got to be looking more forward now. Opportunity, perhaps, Dan. What do you reckon? Got to tuck in behind here.
Oh, here we go with the drone cam. Let's take the drone footage with Diego Schneider. He's going to have a look down the inside. Scotty Gallagher, though, is going to do the switchback on him.
That's going to scrub speed big time. Under massive attack there from Scotty. He's going to get a good exit down the main straightaway to start lap 16 for these drivers. What's going to happen? This could have actually given one a little bit of breathing space here. Scotty's going to go for it now.
You don't go around the outside of turn 1. You put yourself, well, on the goal line already to put you out of this race. Most of the time, you put yourself on the penalty spot. But in that corner, if you put yourself on the outside, you put yourself on the goal line. That is an unmissable chance. As we say in football, but yeah, you put yourself at so much risk, especially through turn 1. You don't want to do that.
I wanted to see it, but of course,
we love to see it.
Australian driver's a little bit more clever than I am. They're just building up the hype there, Dan.
Well, we love to see it. We love to see drivers take a bit of a risk. In the end, the
didn't we see Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton try to run cops one time?
Oh yeah.
So that one panned out.
Bye, mate. Yeah, that was one.
Hey, you're not British, mate. What are you saying? God blimey. You've been hanging around the JPB Broadcasting Network too long.
Well, there's never such thing as too long, I think. Joel Jacqueline on the back of Nathan Brumby. That gap about 3/10 is for P7 in the race.
It's damn hard to overtake around here, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
Like, it is very difficult, as you mentioned earlier at the top of the show.
Hey, I don't lie when I say things.
Sure. You
If
are
I
race
say
driver,
it's
man.
hard to overtake,
Yeah.
it's actually hard to overtake. It isn't any nonsense. It is completely
Scotty's
different.
dropped 3 seconds back to Snyder. He's still in the back there of the P3 there at 1. So Scotty made a mistake. Big time. So I have to say Scotty's chance of getting a podium is pretty much done and dusted right now. What happened to the Australian?
He's gonna underbraking. Yeah, bye. And a spinneroo.
Scotty.
You
It's all right, bud.
spin me right round, baby. Right round.
Like a color hanger 6-6 machine. Here we go. Continuing the improv show on this one.
There we go.
Snyder, but he can smell, he can taste the champagne foaming at the moment for a bit of champagne. But I think Moncada is going to just deny him the opportunity on this one. This is going to be a fantastic battle. I think the battle for P1 and P2 is pretty much done and dusted on that one. But the battle for the 3rd place podium is here, right here, live and now. What do you reckon out there, CJ? A man that can predict the future of anything?
A walking Wikipedia, a walking,
Oh, he is.
a walking crystal ball. He's everything. He's everything for us here up in the booth. Of course, a little bit further back, it is Joel Jacklin still on the back of Brumby. However, this is the closest battle we have on track. Also, we need to keep in mind. Last lap of the race, Lucas Vieira is going to come through to take the victory in just a moment time. He's now on the run up to 130 yard. Diego Schneider
Lucas
is going
can
to need a
hold.
good exit
Lucas
here.
can hold off. Hold off, Lucas. We're going to see these pictures of this battle. We'll get back to you in a minute because you're about halfway through the track at the moment. Diego Schneider's last possible chance here. But we go. Lucas, we're going to have to go to you.
Well, Lucas Vieira did everything he needed to do. In the end, Stephen Place has dropped off a bit too much during the middle parts of this race, and Lucas Vieira comes through to win once again.
And Snyder might have got the position too, Dan. We'll get the replay of that in a second. Yes, it's happened.
It's not.
What? No, it's not. He's backed off the speed in an incident. Stephen Place has that 2nd place. That's done and dusted on that one. But, Dan, I don't know if you get a chance to go back to the replay of that one because something just brewed up here in Japan between those two drivers. It must have been close. He got the overtake done and then something happened.
Contact maybe.
Here it is. Too deep, Casio.
Yeah, too deep.
Oh, yep. He went for it. Risk it for the biscuit moment. There it is. So,
Lick the stamp
one
and send it.
held off.
Lick the stamp and send it, big ol'. Yeah,
Yep.
it didn't quite work out. Now, behind that, Joel Jacklin, also behind Nathan Brumby. Like I said, difficult track to overtake, and Joel Jacklin, Diego Schneider, Scotty Galligan, they all found that out. Most of the position gain for Scotty Galligan came at the start was P7 by the end of lap 1, then gained 2 further positions for Nathan Brumby, and Johnny Hamby had to they had to settle for P6 and P7 behind Scotty Galligan.
And Krasek had a couple of off-track moments. We didn't get a chance to show you too much there, Krasek, but I'm pretty sure you're happy. We didn't show you too many off-track moments there. So just Charles Krasek didn't agree too much around Japan, but there it is, and there are your results. And I think we've kept CJ's speechless out there. Dan, results.
Lucas Vieira in the end is going to win ahead of Stephen Place. Didn't quite have it, Stephen Place, during the middle part of that race. Dropped about 2 seconds in lap time. Found that lap time back in the latter stages of the race. In the end, the middle part of the race meant that he wasn't in contention for the victory anymore come the end. Juan Moncada in P3 had a Diego Schneider P4. Scotty Galligan P5 had a Johnny Hamby in P6 and Nathan Brumby in P7. Joel Jacklin P8 out of Manuel Solorzano P9. Charles Krasic's P10 out of Diego Zuccarelli in P11. Then P12 Mateus Moraes and Pat Labros Cliff Stone will start this race. Well then,
Exactly,
bigots.
Dan. What a race, of course. But, the race is just getting started. Well, the interview room is just getting started because we're going to hear from these gladiators that made their way around 30 minutes of Japan, Suzuka. Dan, who would you like to interview first?
I think we're going to bring the man in who finished P3 in the end, was able to hold off Diego Schneider, who went for it in the Casio chicane on the last lap. Juan Moncada, welcome into the...
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we've been great up here. You guys give us a great spectacle to look at. One, of course, under pressure from Jago there in the last stages of the race. So far, I think, apart from that, it was a pretty successful race.
Yeah, no, it was a good race. A lot of pressure with Diego behind. He had a little bit more speed on the last chicane, so I knew that I needed to build up some distance throughout the lap so that I could have some buffer there. So it
And
was a close one,
one. Do you play football? Because you're the best blocker tonight. Yeah,
but
you were in P3, and after dropping that one place at the start of the race, you had to defend that P3, and you had to defend against a mighty gladiating force of cars. How did you manage it?
I'm sweating. I'm sweating bullets here. So I don't know. It was. I've been working on not focusing on the mirrors as much, so that I apply that during this race, and
Rip them
it
off the
worked out
car.
a lot.
That'll help.
What was that?
Rip the mirrors off the car. That'll help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's a
That's
Formula
what
One
I'm-
excuse. Go ahead.
Yeah. But it was fun. Good race.
Oh, for sure. And anything strategy-wise that you could do? Maybe don't push as much on the tires at the beginning. Bring them in nicely, and then start to push. Because I think we saw Stephen place ahead of you. He had some massive tire issues halfway through the race, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Reducing the amount of scrubbing too, especially through the S's. It's really hard to be fast and not scrub the tires as much. So that's really the section where you get a lot of heat in the tires. And once you're past that section, the rest of the lap is pretty difficult because the car is on the edge.
Well, Juan, anyone you want to shout out before you leave the booth?
Oh, wait, don't say anyone. One. If there's
One,
one
there we
shout out
go.
you would like to say, no, go ahead, one.
God, there we go. No, yeah, the team rat line, of course, that's where I've learned a lot. I've been doing iRacing for a year, and if it weren't for those guys, then I wouldn't be able to get a podium or do what I'm doing now. There's still a lot of work to do, but just thankful for the guys, for Steven, John, Mike, and all the guys at Team Ratline, and obviously shout out to my wife again.
So, one, if there was one race you would win, which race would one want to? No, sorry, mate. We'll say that a little bit later on. GG's my friend, P3.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Moncada finishing 3 in race. Let's continue with the man who finished in P2, our lovely Canadian in the name of Stephen Place. Welcome into the booth.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, Stephen, a little bit of a tricky one, I think, especially in the middle part of the race. You seem quick. You seem to keep Lucas Vieira pretty honest in the first part of that race. But what exactly happened? Did the tires go off? Did you make a mistake? What happened in the middle part of the race?
I was running at 100%. I just trying to stay somewhat in his draft. Yeah, and he just broke me. He started just pumping out the laps, and I couldn't respond, and I needed to overdrive the car, and that just things just tumbled from there.
What I've heard from earlier on during the Europes, a lot of drivers were saying, especially on this track, it is so easy to overdrive the car, overheat the tires in the process, and then you're kind of cooling the tires down for the next 2 laps. Was that the case with you too?
Yeah, when you start running to the front, all these little things matter, and yeah, just not trying to get too much of rotation in the car, sliding. That's the key to keep that in its operating window. But
Stevie,
I want to.
Yep, go ahead. No,
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, mate. You're the driver, mate.
I want to shout out to Juan. I'm quite happy for him to finish third. Yeah, it's. I'm more happy than that than finishing second.
Hey, he's not. You are a driver, mate. Number one yourself. But I appreciate that admirable moment there. But Stevie, mate, you were shaving some time there off Lucas. You were getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and it seemed that the closer you got, all of a sudden Lucas had a little button to press, and you go boom, bang, and get a quicker lap than you. What?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He started just. I think he was just keeping to himself. He was just driving his own race, and yeah, when he pumped out the 152.7, that broke the camel's back for me. That was it.
Yeah, and if I was your engineer, mate, I wouldn't even tell you that was a lap. I would deny you from any of the information. Just go, yes, you're quicker than him, so that you wouldn't know. And then, because that also demotivates you, I guess, a little bit. But I
I'm
guess
just
Steve,
happy to.
yeah.
I'm just happy to run somewhat of Lucas's pace, as I say every week. Just happy to compete with everybody, and it's just great to race against Lucas. Congratulations.
Still keeping you on top of the timesheets there for the championship. So that's all that matters at the end of the day, doesn't it, Dan?
Well, my question was, Stephen, going into now the last 3 races of the season, of the regular season, before we go to the finals, is your goal still to just finish in the top 10 and go to the finals? Or is it now, has it shifted to taking the regular season champion?
No, I'm totally focused on trying to win the championship. Yeah, been putting the hours in. This is my chance. So I'm gonna make the best of it.
Sounds like an Eminem song. This is the moment you have to shine. Dun 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 dun. That's what I would be thinking as warming up on that one. Good on you, Stevie. Anyone you want to shout out to?
No, Juan. Just want to say I'm really happy for Juan. We practiced together, and it was a good finish for him. So, and congratulations, and thank you guys for the great broadcast. Always.
Oh, thank you very much, Stephen. Congratulations on your podium and your P2 finish. Go and party with the team.
Woo.
Stephen
He's
plays.
going to party.
Finishing
He's gonna
P2.
party.
A very happy Stephen Place, I think, Biggles. But move on to the big man this evening. He's dominant in this race. Lucas Vieira, welcome in.
Hey Dan, hey Bigos, how's it going?
Yeah, we are great up here in the boots. Well, Lucas, tell us, how are you? Because you were under pressure for most of that race from Stephen, but then all of a sudden it seemed like you turned it up a notch. Were you saving anything in the first couple of laps?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I was trying to put a good lap together, and I was trying to push on the first S's, and was making silly mistakes like claim the curb where I shouldn't do it, and I wasn't able to push much harder. But I started to say, okay, so if I keep these lap times, I know that I will keep the same distance with for Steven, so I start saving. And once I get it how to manage the tires to push a hot lap, I start to push mid race, and that's when I managed to open a better gap. I think Steven have some issues with the overcook the tires falling too closely, and that's what I managed a bit luckily. But yeah, it was fun race. Kind of a lot of pressure during the most of the race, so but it was fun, really fun.
Lucas, it seemed so much fun from you during the qualifying performance. You went first lap fastest, second lap fastest, third lap fastest. It seemed to me at this point, nobody's taken Suzuka away from you, are they? And I think more importantly was you're focusing on your race start, because we've seen what happens when people bog down the race start. Any major problems into that first turn, and after that, we obviously we heard before the battle with Stevie, but after that, mate, was anybody going to deny you the race win in Japan?
Yeah, I think Steven have a good shot, good chances. He was super quick, and I would give. I actually wanted to enjoy this occasion to give a big shout out for him because it's so fun. Back in the officials, he was not that much quicker, and he's getting really quick right now since we start to race the SR10, now the SR8 again, and he's a really good guy. He's really improving his skills. So I not doubt that in a few seasons he will be much faster than he is right now, and I'm quite sure he will be able to win in championships and most races to come in the future.
Awkward pause. Dan?
Well,
That was a question for you, my friend.
I thought you got the next question. I got.
No, that was the question I had. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, there we go. No, I got a message from Biggers. Then he got the next question. Then it was an awkward silence. It was like,
no, I was
do I
asking for his
interrupt?
autograph. I said, Lucas, sign here. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
There we go. Well, no, Lucas. I think all in all, in the end, a great race. Nobody really could deny it. Stephen had to go at it, but even Stephen, who was by far the second quickest, this evening. Even he couldn't deny you from a victory. Congratulations on your victory. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth?
Yeah, for everyone on the radical community, for my girlfriend who is really late and let me drive during this race. But yeah, for everyone in the radical community, and for you guys, there's this amazing league. It's really fun to races here, and have a great time driving to you guys.
You're a winner. Thank you very much, Lucas, and congratulations.
Thank you. Good night.
Well, Biggles, all drivers look very, very happy. They sound very happy. Stephen Place was more happy for Swan than him, or for Juan than himself, which is something that I didn't really expect from Stephen. But no, Stephen looks at the championship now. He knows that he's in there. Like he said, he's absolutely going for it.
It's the media drivers. When you hear like in Formula One stuff like that, they go, I'm really happy for the other ex-driver. They did and usually it's their teammate, of course, and they talk about that. But the man I was very happy, of course, with Lucas because Lucas absolutely flying a machine there. The Etten Center Special 2.0, 3.0, even these days. Number 10 machine delivered. I knew he was going to dominate this track. I thought Stevie could bring it. Stevie tried his absolute best, couldn't quite deliver. I was more impressed with Mr. One in P3, which I was impressed with as well, too, because One had to hold off that whole gaggle of cars behind him and did it brilliantly. Even that mounted charge there from Diego Snyder towards the end. But he held in, he grit his teeth, he buckled in and got it done. And I tell you, still, Lucas, I love your accent, my friend. I just love Brazilian accents. So, GG's, my friend. Another one bites the dust.
Well, one last time, your top three for today. Lucas Vieira ahead of Stephen Place in P2, Juan Moncada in P3. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, CJ, thank you very much once again for being here with us. We appreciate every one of you in chat, everyone who has watched from home too. Biggles, thank you for being alongside me in the booth. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. From me, from Biggles, from all the drivers, and from the Radical World Series, thank you for watching. See you next week. Stay safe. Bye-bye.